The story kicks off in a dark and unsettling way. We're shown the inside of a creepy house where a young woman is tied up in what looks like a basement dungeon. She's not alone. Her boyfriend is trapped in another room, also restrained, and both of them are being tormented in brutal ways by someone they can't even see properly. The torture is cruel, leaving them completely helpless. After suffering for a while, the girl finally musters the courage to fight back against her restraints. With sheer determination, she manages to break free. The first thing she does is rush to untie her boyfriend, but instead of begging her to save him, he insists that she must run away while she still has the chance. He warns her frantically that if the person behind all this, someone he refers to as the offspring of the rhino, finds her, she won't survive. Torn between staying and leaving, the girl finally listens to him. Heart pounding, she bolts out of the house and into the wilderness. But her freedom doesn't last long. A man armed with a rifle starts chasing her through the trees. The girl runs as fast as she can, her breath short, the terror clear on her face. Finally, she reaches a cliff. Below is a massive drop into a deep valley. There's no path forward. The man steps closer, weapon ready. Trapped and unwilling to let herself be killed by him, she makes a shocking decision. She throws herself off the cliff, ending her own life rather than falling into his hands. With this disturbing opening, the movie then shifts gears and introduces us to a couple, Mike and Cheryl. They're on a romantic getaway, planning a camping trip in the woods. Their adventure begins at the forest office, where they ask the ranger about hiking routes. The officer casually tells them they can wander anywhere, but issues a warning. This forest isn't as harmless as it looks, so they need to stay cautious. Before they head in, Mike and Cheryl make a decision that later proves risky. They leave their phones locked in the car. They want peace, no interruptions from the outside world. Once inside the forest, though, they quickly get confused about which way to go. Just then, a strange woman named Ida appears. She claims she lives in the forest and offers them a suggestion: visit a place called Timber Falls. She describes it as quiet, calm, and beautiful. The couple thanks her and sets out in that direction, Cheryl excited and Mike confessing his love along the way. Their sweet moment is cut short when 3 armed men suddenly show up. Guns in hand, the strangers stare at Cheryl in a way that makes both her and Mike nervous. They pretend to be friendly, even joking around, but their intentions don't feel safe. The leader of the group, a man named Brody, shows Mike a vial filled with drugs, trying to sell it to him. His tone makes it clear this is less of an offer and more of a threat. Mike gets angry and reaches for something, clearly planning to fight, but Cheryl quickly stops him. She begs him not to escalate things, reminding him it's better to just pay them and walk away alive. Reluctantly, Mike hands over some cash and the men leave. Shaken but relieved, the couple continues until they reach a stunning waterfall. There they meet a forest officer named Clyde, who explains that the area is a popular tourist spot. Mike asks where they should camp, and Clyde points them toward a nearby lake. Mike and Cheryl follow his advice, set up their tent, and finally relax for the evening. But the sense of safety doesn't last long. While they're asleep that night, a shadowy figure is seen lurking outside their tent, silently watching. Morning arrives, and Cheryl goes down to the river to bathe, unaware that someone is spying on her from the trees. Just as she steps out of the water, the man approaches and grabs her. In an instant, she's kidnapped. When Mike wakes up and realizes she's gone, panic takes over. He searches desperately until he spots 2 of the men from before, one of them holding Cheryl's towel. Convinced they've taken her, Mike launches a furious attack. He beats one of them mercilessly, while the other runs for his life. Mike holds the beaten man at gunpoint, demanding to know where Cheryl is. His threats are so intense that he even claims he'll blow the man up with a rocket if he doesn't talk. The terrified thug swears that he hasn't seen Cheryl, insisting he only found her shawl lying on the ground. Mike doesn't buy it. Their argument escalates until the man suddenly pulls a knife, trying to stab Mike. But Mike is stronger and knocks him out cold. Still without answers, he resumes searching. Along the way, he stumbles across something grotesque, a deer hanging lifelessly from a tree. The sight disturbs him, but worse is yet to come. While moving forward, Mike steps into a hunter's trap, the iron snapping painfully around his leg. Crying out in agony, he's helpless until Ida suddenly appears again. She takes him back to her house and tends to his wounds, cleaning and bandaging them. As he rests, he explains that Cheryl has gone missing. Ida offers empty comfort, assuring him she'll turn up. Not long after, Rudy, the gang leader, arrives outside her house, looking for Mike. He angrily claims Mike beat up one of his men so badly that he wants revenge. Ida lies smoothly, saying she hasn't seen anyone by that description. Rudy leaves, though suspicious. Later, Ida serves Mike some tea, but he refuses to drink. Something about her feels wrong. What unsettles him most is that she called him Michael, a name only his mom and grandmother ever used. He suddenly remembers that his passport went missing earlier, the only document with his full name on it. Putting the pieces together, he realizes Ida must have taken it. Mike tells her he doesn't trust her and wants to leave. That's when Ida snaps. She attacks him with a rod, screaming that she won't let him go. They fight violently, but Mike manages to knock her out. He begins searching her house and stumbles on a hidden door leading to the basement. What he finds there horrifies him. The basement is filled with cages, and inside are several children, locked away like animals. Among them is Cheryl, gag and bound. He quickly frees her, but she warns him in terror that they need to leave immediately because he is coming. Before they can escape, the figure she spoke of appears, a monstrous-looking man with a disfigured face and a weapon in hand. A brutal fight erupts between him and Mike. The man strikes Mike in the head with a hammer, knocking him unconscious. Cheryl manages to flee, sprinting through the woods until she reaches the road. A car comes by. It's Clyde, the forest officer she met earlier. She pleads with him for help, screaming that someone is trying to kill her. Relief washes over her as she thinks she's safe. But then the horrifying truth is revealed. The disfigured man appears, and instead of helping her, Clyde scolds him furiously, not for attacking Cheryl, but for letting her get away. Before she can even react, Clyde slams a rod across her head, and darkness takes over as she collapses to the ground. When she wakes up, things get even more disturbing. Mike and Cheryl are dressed up like they're about to walk down an aisle, not escape a nightmare. The twisted group stages a wedding, forcing them into a marriage ceremony they never wanted. Clyde delivers a sermon-like explanation, talking about how they live by strict biblical rules and never step outside what they consider God's law. Ida, completely serious, accuses the couple of committing sin by being intimate before marriage. To make things right, she claims, they had to marry. That's not the most horrifying part, though. The monstrous figure who had been tormenting them earlier? Ida explains he's her brother, Deacon, a deranged enforcer of their rules who punishes anyone who steps out of line. Later that night, Deacon creeps into Cheryl's room and tries to put his hands on her. But Ida, oddly enough, yells at him like an older sister scolding a naughty child and sends him away. Meanwhile, Clyde is busy telling Mike their actual plan. He explains how God never gave him and Ida children, so now Mike and Cheryl are expected to provide children for them. Ida, without any shame, tells Cheryl the same thing. Cheryl is horrified and begs them to let her go, but her words fall on deaf ears. The couple is locked up, left with no option but to produce heirs for these maniacs. Morning arrives, and things get worse. Deacon storms into the room, drags Mike away, and ties him up. Ida goes to Cheryl, demanding to know if she and Mike had sex. Cheryl insists they haven't, which doesn't please her captors at all. Clyde threatens Mike, promising unbearable torture if he doesn't perform. To drive his point home, Deacon cuts into Mike's back with a sharp blade and then pours alcohol over the wound, sending Mike into agonizing screams. Ida isn't any kinder. She slices Cheryl's finger simply because she didn't follow their insane rules. While all this madness unfolds, Clyde takes care of another problem. He pushes Mike's car into the river, hoping to erase any trace of them so the police won't suspect a thing. But outside their twisted bubble, Rudy, the shady hunter from before, is still looking for Mike. He comes across Clyde and questions him. Clyde, calm as ever, lies and says the couple already left. Rudy, however, isn't convinced. His instincts tell him something's hidden. Back in the house, the nightmare continues. Mike and Cheryl are repeatedly forced to be intimate, the pressure never ending. Cheryl, exhausted and broken, eventually tells Mike that maybe he should just give in to save their lives. But Mike refuses, even when she begs. His determination not to bend to their captors shows his strength, but also keeps the torture dragging on. Elsewhere in the forest, a park ranger receives a missing persons report about Mike and Cheryl. He sends one of his junior rangers into the woods to investigate. As she makes her way through, she bumps into the same trio of hunters who harassed the couple earlier. Showing them photos of the missing pair, she asks if they've seen them. The hunters deny it, but something clicks for them. They suspect Clyde might be hiding something. Back in the cabin, The twisted plan hits a wall when Cheryl suddenly laughs in Ida's face and announces she's already pregnant, 2 months along. The revelation shakes Ida badly. Everything they forced on Cheryl and Mike is now useless. Ida and Clyde panic, realizing their entire scheme has fallen apart. Just then, the hunters arrive at the house, convinced Clyde is involved. They break down the door and charge inside. Alarmed, Clyde and Ida leave Mike and Cheryl behind to investigate the noise. Mike, still tied up, struggles desperately to free himself. One of the hunters eventually makes it to the basement, only to be ambushed by Clyde, who kills him brutally. Another hunter manages to sneak further in and sees disturbing things around the house that confirm his suspicions. Meanwhile, Ida whispers to Clyde that they should force Cheryl into an abortion. Clyde, however, has other ideas. Coldly, he says they should just kill Mike and Cheryl since they're no longer useful, then capture another couple to start over. Clyde heads to the basement with murder in his eyes, but Mike has finally freed himself. Spotting a gun nearby, Mike wastes no time. As Clyde enters, Mike pulls the trigger and shoots him dead. Clyde drops instantly, his twisted reign of control ending in a flash. Ida soon finds Clyde's lifeless body and lets out a scream of horror. Rage takes over, and she lunges at Mike, repeatedly striking his injured back. Just when it seems like Mike won't make it, Cheryl manages to break free. She jumps into the fight, attacking Ida with everything she has. Together, they trap Ida inside the basement and run. But the danger isn't over yet. Mike is badly hurt and can barely move. Cheryl rushes back inside, desperate to find a way to contact the police. Suddenly, Deacon emerges from the shadows and attacks her. In a moment of raw survival instinct, Cheryl grabs a heavy wooden cross and smashes it across his face, disfiguring him even more than before. Deacon, terrified and in pain, tries to escape. But Cheryl isn't done. She lights a bottle filled with alcohol and hurls it at him, engulfing him in flames. Deacon burns as Cheryl races back to Mike, clinging to him in relief. But Ida still isn't finished. The woman crawls back into the fight, sneaking up behind Mike and hitting him once more. Seeing this, Cheryl completely loses it. With pure fury, she grabs a sword lying nearby and, in one swift strike, severs Ida's head. The nightmare is finally over. Breathing heavily, Cheryl searches until she finds a working phone line. With trembling hands, she calls the police, begging for help. The story then jumps forward by a year. The horror of Timber Falls is behind them, though the scars remain. Mike and Cheryl, now parents, are seen gently putting their baby girl to sleep. Their lives have been rebuilt from the ashes of trauma. As they quietly step out of their daughter's room, the movie closes on this peaceful image, a sharp contrast to the nightmare they survived. And that's how Timber Falls ends, a chilling roller coaster of obsession, twisted faith, violence, and survival.